Hey guys, how you doing? We decided we'd take a little bit of a different approach to Church Chats this week. Just clean the furniture. I am Luke.
And I'm Lauren.
And we are here for another week. We've had some exciting guests so far, and we have arguably, not arguably.
In your perspective.
Yeah, well, you'll soon see why I love this next guy. But he's one of our many guests that we've had, another exciting guest. We're going to get stuck into it in just a moment. But Lauren, firstly, how's your week been? What have you been doing in lockdown?
Yeah, not a lot. Definitely a lot of Netflix.
Yes.
Too much, probably.
I think we all fall into that boat at times.
It can be dangerous.
It can be, but it's also probably the only time you can get away with watching a lot and not feeling too guilty for it.
Yeah, there's no guilt at all. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
That's good. On that note, have you been watching anything in particular? Tell us a bit about what you're into.
I have a bit of a guilty pleasure at the moment. I'm definitely all into true crime. I don't know why. I just find it so interesting. Can you relate? I don't know.
100%.
Really? That's funny. It's just so good. I just love it.
It's a little bit creepy, the amount that I don't know how much you love it, but
it's just fascinating.
Yes.
That's all I can say. It's fascinating.
I agree.
Which is why it's so interesting.
I agree. I've been watching, I think it's Jenna and I have watched, I think it's Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a great show if you're into that sort of thing, guys, but you will not find out what happens at the end of the case.
There's no closure at all.
No, there isn't.
No closure.
But I, can relate 100%, and it's always a good time. So keep us posted. Guys, maybe you've been watching a few good shows. Feel free to comment and let us know anything that you've been watching.
Yeah, I'm running out of shows, so let us know.
Yeah,
so we can start a new binge watch.
We might get stuck into it. Our next guest has been a regular attendee at Mill Park Baptist, hasn't been here for a while. He also works in a profession that is maybe a little abstract to some, but exciting to others. And we're just going to get stuck into it. So here we go. Alrighty. Anthony, can you hear us, mate?
Got you. Yeah, you got me okay?
Yeah, mate. Got you. Thanks so much for joining us, man. It's an absolute privilege having you as a part of our church chats this week. And I guess just to start off with, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself for those who don't know you and what you do for work?
No worries. Yeah, thanks for having me, Luke and Lauren. Name's Anthony Miles. I'm an AFL footballer. Is my profession. I've been in the AFL industry for 10 years now. So I spent 3 years at the Greater Western Sydney Giants before going to Richmond for 5 years, and that started my connection with the church at Mill Park. And now I'm currently on the Gold Coast in my second year up here. So it's been a bit of a journey. As I said, spent time in Sydney, spent time in Melbourne, and now on the Gold Coast. Originally from Albury-Wodonga on the border there, so 3 hours out of Melbourne. The youngest of three, got two older brothers, married to Laura. As I said, a few hobbies. I love fishing, so loving my time on the Gold Coast. Crispy 21 degrees on the coast today, so a little bit different to Melbourne. Love surfing, not very good at it, but I've just got into that recently. So, as I said, missing you guys down there, but enjoying my time on the coast.
Mate, looking at that sunshine over your shoulder, I can't blame you for loving it up there. And I think there's a few jealous Melburnians out there at the moment, not just for the weather, but also for COVID restrictions. So enjoy it while you can, man. That's great to hear. And then you kind of touched on it about your connection with Mill Park, but I believe there may be a certain chaplain at Richmond. That might have been the connection. Can you tell us a bit about how you found yourself at Mill Park?
Yeah, so as I'm sure most of you know, that the Pastor Jeff Shepherd is the chaplain at the Richmond Footy Club. So that's where our relationship started, just catching up every now and again when he was in at the club, which quickly turned into Jeff becoming a real mentor and a person of guidance for me, and to today, where I would call him still a great mentor for me, but I'd also call him a great friend, and the whole Shepherd family. And as you all know, fantastic family, and we loved our time at Mill Park. It made it a little bit difficult, given that AFL, as I said, the AFL fixture play Sunday, play Saturday night, so it potentially made things hard to get to church. But we always felt so welcome at Mill Park, and this COVID period, funnily enough, has been good in terms of being able to reconnect and watch some services and stuff. So that's where our relationship started, through the Richmond Footy Club, and continue to be, as I said, really good friends with the Shepherd family today.
Yeah, that's really cool. So just want to dive a little bit deeper. So you're in a quite unique situation, being a footballer as a Christian. So how do you find bringing your faith into the workplace, as a professional footballer?
Yeah, it's difficult. It has its difficulties, and it also has a lot of opportunities as well. You'd be surprised how open and honest a lot of young men are to what you're about, and Christianity, and talking about faith. Guys will often talk about it and not act on it until, potentially years down the track when certain life events come up, I've found. So for me, it's not so much about, absolutely smashing people with the word and everything like that. I suppose for me, in a footy club environment, and I've learnt that to disciple for people is that old saying that disciple to people and use words when necessary. And that's been a big thing for me, is just to be a good person around the people. And some great opportunities have come up from that. There's not too many guys at Richmond that were Christians, but there's probably about, I think there's a group of 7 of us that up on the Gold Coast now, that a couple of new guys to faith that meet regularly via Zoom now, unfortunately, that we can't catch up. But that's created some really good opportunities for discipleship in a footy club environment, which is really cool. As I said before, there's a lot of guys that if you're a good person and help them out later down the track, they're more open to wanting to discuss things. Ooh.
That's really cool. I didn't realize there were that many. Yeah. Oh, you okay? Can you hear us?
You still got us?
Yep, got you. Yep. Sorry.
That's okay. Yes, I didn't realize how many Christians there was. It's really cool. You have a really close knit community to go through that with. That's really cool. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you used to be in the Richmond Football Club, and you moved up to the Gold Coast just for some more, football opportunities. And you had a few injuries as well. So how's that all been like for you?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I didn't say it had its challenges. Last year, I played pretty well the whole season in the AFL, which was pretty cool. We didn't have a fantastic year. We won we won 3 of our first 4 games up on the Gold Coast, and then didn't win one for the rest of the year. So it had its challenges, but it was great to be back playing AFL footy. Prior to that, the 2 years previous, I didn't play a whole lot of AFL. I was in and out of the AFL side. So opportunities was a real chance for me to come up here. Laura and I, my wife, had just been married, and for us to be able to move away and start our marriage together was also something pretty special. And then in terms of the challenges this year, at the end of last year, round 20, I rolled my ankle. Well, it's probably a bit more than rolled an ankle. I did a syndesmosis, so snapped that, and they had to put a rope in and tighten everything up in that. And finally got back from that. I was about to play, and I tore my pectoral muscle, so it tore off the bone. And doing a bench press, of all things, just so routine, something I would have done 1,000 times. Did that, and so that was another, I think it was about 16 weeks out. So as I said, it presented some great challenges. I was really fortunate to have some great support around me, and I mentioned before those 6 guys who I connect with up here. Sean Hart, I'm not sure if you've heard of Sean Hart before, played for the Brisbane Lions. He's in the welfare role up here. He actually won a Norm Smith medal back in 2002, I believe. Thank God on an AFL stage, which was so awesome. So to have him and some great other guys up here, and as I mentioned before, Jeff has been fantastic. I know he's a pastor, and I've probably got to say that, but in all honesty, he spoke about it this morning in terms of the trials being good for us, and him explaining that and guiding me through that. I certainly have been through a few trials, not compared to a lot of people I know, but it's still an injury, and he's part of AFL, and it's part of my job that I do every day. So it certainly made things hard, and it had its challenges, but had some really good counsel around me and some great support.
Good on you, man. That's no doubt. We all face many different trials, but I know myself. I do know Sean Hart. Unfortunately, I'm a big Collingwood fan. That's not unfortunate that I'm a Collingwood fan, but the fact that he played against us in 02-03. So I know Sean Hart, unfortunately. But that's great that you've got that support, and it's so cool because from the outside looking in, we don't see all those interactions that you guys are having. So really cool to get that insight.
Yeah, so obviously, COVID has been hard for all of us. You just shared a little bit about the effects there. But do you mind just, going more in depth in that? What has those hardships looked like for you, and how has it affected your walk with God?
Yeah, it's certainly had its challenges even up here. I think we're a lot more fortunate than those in Victoria at the moment. But the AFL industry it's really strict at the moment. We're getting tested twice a week. So I think I've probably had 30 COVID tests now. We aren't allowed to see each other, even though we train with each other. So those interactions that I spoke about before, I'm a real people person. I love connecting with people. And I think, as I mentioned before, some of my injuries and everything like that, it's easy to be a person to lean on and a person that brings good energy to people around the footy club when things are going well. But certainly I think you learn more about a person when things aren't going well. And that's something that I've tried to pride myself on, is when I've been in these injury situations and not been playing, that I'm still a person to lean on for these guys. So it's hard when you can't go and actually connect and build these relationships in face-to-face. As I said, our small groups meeting via Zoom rather than face-to-face. And we had an extended layoff as well in the AFL industry. We weren't allowed into the club for 12 weeks after round one. So we played round one, and then it was a long layoff. So certainly had its challenges, but God's been teaching me and the whole footy club. It's funny. Their saying is at the moment that, you see things are easy. When things are going well, things are easy. But when you face challenges, that's when you have your greatest growth. So that's our footy club mantra. But tying that back to our faith, I think that's really relevant to me. And I think that's where God's been speaking to me during this period of COVID, is continuing to seek him and to serve him in different ways, shapes or forms, calling people, whatever that may be. But it certainly had its challenges, and I'm not a great online learner. So not being able to connect and go to church has also had its challenges, but also presented great opportunities. My brothers are both in Albury Wodonga and have been able to connect up with you guys, which maybe if COVID hadn't happened, that wouldn't be possible. And they're really connecting with that, and we're having some great conversations through that as well. So it's been great. Great, but not great, if that makes sense.
Totally can understand what you're saying, man. It's it's one of those things where we're all being forced to just quickly adapt at the moment, aren't we? And sort of roll with the punches in a sense. And we don't know what's around the corner with COVID, but we really appreciate you giving the insight from an AFL perspective anyway. And thankfully at the moment, you guys are able to go about your business a little more and be a bit freer in Queensland, and that's great, but who knows what's going to come. And so I guess that's where it comes back to, I know for myself, I'm so thankful for my faith. You've got something to really press into, and that extra source of strength and hope, which has been really great. Moving on a little bit, we do have an important topic to discuss with you, and we appreciate the insight you've given us so far. Firstly, before I get on this point, out of curiosity, which football team did you grow up supporting as a kid?
Well, you probably won't be happy with this, Luke. I went for Collingwood until I was 5. Both my brothers are mad Collingwood. And my dad said, I've got some tickets to the St Kilda North Melbourne preliminary final. Whoever comes has to go for St Kilda. So I jumped ship as fast as I could. Now I went for the Saints growing up.
Okay. Yeah, a little bit disappointed. We'll have to end this call. No, we'll keep rolling. But there's always time to repent, mate, and come back, and there's grace for that. So just keep that in mind. But on that note, here's a tricky one for you. I know you spent some time at the Giants, but I feel like a lot of your career has been Richmond and now Gold Coast. If, per se, Collingwood didn't make the grand final, which it's a hypothetical that they won't. But if they didn't, and it was Richmond and Gold Coast, who would you support? Don't just say Gold Coast because you're currently there. Who would you support, and who would win the Norm Smith?
Gee, no, I do love the Gold Coast. I love the Suns at the moment, that's for sure. Richmond hold a special place in my heart. Give me another opportunity. But I do love the Suns, and they haven't won one. Richmond have had a pretty good run the last few years. I think Gold Coast footy is growing. Like in Melbourne, you probably don't see too much of it, but the Gold Coast footy and participation up here is awesome. It's growing. So I'd definitely go for the Gold Coast Suns. Just to be great for the state. And Norm Smith medal, can't be Sean Hardy's way too old now, but we'll go Dave Swallow, I think.
Nice, I like it.
Great. So,
I like it.
That's if Collingwood aren't in it, of course.
Of course, I'm hoping for a Collingwood Gold Coast final myself. But Matty Rao with the Norm Smith, he'll be back from his shoulder.
He'll come back, absolutely.
I wish I knew more about what you guys are talking about. All I can say is I'm a Geelong supporter, so that's all I have to say. But apart from footy, do you have another talent that's a bit hidden? What's that hidden talent of yours? And can you show us if that's possible anyway?
Oren, I've thought about it. I don't have too many hidden talents. It's just basically footy and any sports. As I said, I love fishing, but it's a bit hard actually. You might be able to. The water there, we're just in the rental. I can fish out the back, which is pretty cool. So I cheat a little bit out the back. I have a fishing rod in and I put some bells on top. So if I hear the rod go, I can just run down the stairs straight into fishing. So I love it up here, as I said, but not too many hidden talents, unfortunately.
That's all right. I do have one left field question for you, which this isn't scripted, but that's okay. If you you can't pick any AFL players, but if you were to pick a professional athlete or sports person from anywhere around the world, past or present, that you could meet, who would it be and why?
Gee, that's a great one. I'm trying to think. I know this is really left field as well. Conor McGregor in the UFC, right out there, probably goes against everything that I believe in terms of arrogance and everything else, but I just find him so charismatic and I'd love to meet him. So it'd probably be Conor McGregor.
Tell you what, you would not forget that encounter. So I reckon that's a great option. Thanks for that.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing all that with us. Really cool to hear what you're up to and, how footy's been treating you as well with COVID. So thanks for sharing. Before we finish up, is there any prayer requests or ways that our community can support you during this time?
Yeah, as I said, footy clubs, despite having some support up here with 6 or 7 guys, it can be a really testing environment, as I'm sure you can understand. It has its challenges, professional sport in terms of performance and actually being injury free. So if you pray around my body holding up and just being that light and that beacon inside a pretty tough environment, that'd be fantastic.
100%, man. We can certainly do that, and I'm sure the guys watching at home will jump straight on that in terms of the prayer. So thank you so much for your time, mate. We really appreciate the chat and the insight that you've given us, and all the best on the injury front, but also, it's fantastic news that you've been back a couple of games now, I believe, and can hopefully continue on with some more success in the future.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
That was awesome, wasn't it? Yeah, as a footy fan myself, I love hearing those sorts of stories and seeing how God's at work in an environment like that. Super appreciative of Anthony. We've actually got another exciting little segment. And so now we are going to welcome one of our own, Haansley, to lead us in a little bit of something special. So tune in, guys. Have a watch.
Big world out there, liars tries and unfair. Think I'm lost in all the madness. I'm on the verge of ripping out my hair. But you deserve love and care. It's fundamental, I swear. Well, put your guard down for a second, feel the beauty in the air. I'd give all I have to know you're safe and sound and catching up on steam. You taught me what meant to live. Now I hope you find someone who love you just like me. I won't hold you to it, but I can't forget it. All the promises made. Here's a chance to start again, but everyone is the one. When it's all said and done, leave you out there, I know it. Look out for yourself and better be. Catching up on steam. You taught me what meant to live. Now I hope you find someone who love you just like me. I'd give all I have to know you're safe and sound, catching up on steam. Taught me what it meant to live. Now I hope you find someone who love you just like me. Now I hope you find someone who love you just like me.
Thank you so much, Haansley, for doing that for us. That was beautiful.
So good.
Yeah, I can't believe you wrote that. Yeah, that's amazing. There's so much talent in our church. It's really cool. Cool to hear. So thank you so much. So yeah, we're just gonna wrap up today's church chat. So I hope you all really appreciated and enjoyed watching that today. Thank you for tuning in, and stay around for next week as we'll have another devotion from one of our pastors. So see you later.
Have a great week, guys.